Okay, we should be a go. So it's all yours to open the meeting, Shane.
The meeting is now opened.
And I'll go ahead and call the roll. Bill Brown, Carroll County Commissioners. Josh Clue, Carroll County Council. Shane Evans, Mayor of Delphi.
Present.
Mike Isley, Delphi City Council appointee. Pete Wagner, Camden Town Council.
Present.
Doretta Tinsman. Looks like she will not be here. And Marcia Blansett from INDOT.
I'm here.
Okay, so we have 3, and that's not a quorum, so we cannot conduct officially conduct business, but we can go through the agenda and provide the information.
All right, thank you, Sally. So since there is not a quorum, we're not going to act on the minutes or the minute notes. So let's go ahead and proceed straight to traffic counts.
Okay, that's me. So traffic counts this year. Initially, we had planned to do things differently than usual, but our different to usual plans got even more different to usual with COVID. So the initial plan was to primarily focus on CAFO locations with our yearly counts. However, with the change in traffic patterns, we had to adjust our plan. So we altered the initial plan to only take the city counts. Basically, all the counts that weren't related to CAFOs are what we took as far this year. I believe there were 19 of those out of the total 65. So we'll do the remaining counts, fingers crossed, later this year when traffic has hopefully returned to normal. So you can see on the maps here, the ones we did take are in blue and the ones we haven't yet taken are in red. I will note also, we did get good data, but INDOT provides us with seasonal adjustment factors that we use to adjust for whenever we take the counts. But INDOT has not provided us with any COVID adjustment factors. So these numbers aren't reflective of historic trends, but they will at least give us a comparison for what happens in a pandemic versus historical data. So we did still get useful data from these counts, and they are still really showing us what happened this year roughly. So hopefully the remaining counts we take later this year will be closer to historic patterns, but it's hard to say. We'll know when we get there. I believe those are all the updates.
The only thing I would add is that I have verbal agreement from INDOT that the CAFO counts that we could not take in the spring, they will amend our contract after we've done our final billing for fiscal year 2020. And I believe that they will then add in the money that we didn't spend for those counts in 2020 and add it to our fiscal year 21 contract so that we can take those CAFO counts in the fall and then in the spring do all of the normal 65 counts that we would have done for fiscal year 2021. So that's what I have verbal agreement for, and we'll see if we can get that signed on the dotted line.
Fantastic, thank you. Pete, Laura, or Marcy, do you have any questions regarding the traffic counts?
Nope, I'm good.
No, I don't have any questions.
I don't either.
All right, we'll move next to quarterly tracking, I believe. Yes, quarterly tracking. Is this Marcy?
Yeah, this is actually mostly me.
Okay.
So at our last meeting in February, if you guys can remember all the way back there, the question came up about we haven't had any federal aid projects in Carroll County since the Stellar Communities funding kind of ran out. So what would the process look like for that, and what would be eligible for that, and those sorts of things. So what we decided to do this time was to bring you guys a map of projects that might be eligible. So I'm going to try to pull that up here if you give me just a second. And so this map shows the functional classification for different roads in Carroll County. So what you're looking at is any road that is a major collector or higher. So any road that is on this map, purple, green, or red, would be eligible for federal aid money. In addition to bridges are also eligible. Now, the thing with federal aid money is that anytime you do a project that uses that kind of money, that creates some additional process, additional paperwork kind of thing. So one thing that we would have to do if we found a project that would be appropriate that could benefit from that funding would be to do some quarterly tracking. So every quarter, a progress report would have to be submitted for however many projects you guys would have that would use federal aid money. And then we would have to review that at the meeting to make sure that everything is progressing at an appropriate rate, which is something we do locally in Tippecanoe County with our federal aid projects. So, and we have done it in the past back when we had the Stellar Community projects for you guys. So the other thing I guess to mention about this is that it would use Group 4 funds, which are kind of competitive around the state. So you guys can access those, but how much money you can get, kind of depends on what other people are asking for and all that sort of stuff. So kind of tying into that, item 3B is about doing some training for applying for federal aid projects. So because, there's a process that we go through where we have a call for projects, and that kind of starts it. And then, once a project gets approved, then the tracking I talked about. So we would be willing to help you with anything from our end. And Marcia also expressed at the last meeting that NDOT would be willing to do some training as well. So if that is something you guys are interested in at any point in the future, not just now, but anytime, we're more than happy to facilitate that as much as we can. So yeah, are there any questions about the process or anything I've said?
I don't have any. Pete, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, no.
All right, Marcy or Laura?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you, Tim. All right, we'll go to NDOT projects update and the 18-month letting list.
Yes. So at our last meeting, Marcia said that NDOT did not have any updates other than what we have included in the 18-month letting list. So I'm going to go ahead and drop us down to that, and then I will talk about that. So here's our 18-month letting list. So a lot of the projects you see at the top kind of still remain the same. There are a few new projects down at the bottom, and it looks like we have several projects that are scheduled to be let in December of 2021. And all those are in some way kind of related to bridge projects. So we have two bridge replacements, a small structure replacement, a small structure maintenance and repair project, as well as a bridge deck overlay. And those are on State Road 18, State Road 218, US 421, and State Road 29. So are there any questions about any of those projects?
Hmm.
I have none.
All right.
No, I have none.
So then the next item would be the bid letting results down there. So there were two projects that should have been let back in March. So the first one on US 421, the bridge deck overlay, we did get confirmation in our technical committee meeting that that project has been completed. We have not heard about the second project on US 421, the HMA overlay minor structural, which is also on 421. So that has the DES number of 1600507. And Marcia graciously agreed to look into that project for us, and she will be in contact with us about where that project is at. So then going down to the next section, so there's a project on State Road 75 and a project on State Road 22. And the project on State Road 25, which in this information that we had, which is old information, was listed to have been let in July. However, we found out that that is going to be moved to July of 2022. So that project got moved back, but it will still happen just a couple years later. And then the State Road 22 project, that's the one that we were actually talking about kind of at the start of the meeting that Marcia mentioned, where it shows up in NDOT system as a project that has been eliminated. And we're wondering if it had been combined with another contract and possibly in the Greenfield district. So Marcia, again, will check on that and she will get back to us on that, and that will be distributed to the committee as well. So that's all the information that we have on these projects, but we wanted to know if there were any questions from you guys.
I have none, Tim, and I think I remember talking about that State Road 22 project at a previous meeting, and I think we did identify that it was the Greenfield district in conjunction with another project they had going on. Yeah,
when Marcia said that, I was kind of wondering that too, but you know, it's been a few months since we met, so I think I'd have to look back at the notes to confirm it for sure, but that kind of does tweak something in the back of my mind too, yeah.
All right, thank you. Pete, do you have any questions?
No, not about those projects.
Marcia?
Nope, I'm good.
Laura?
Well, I don't have a question about these specific projects, but not on the list is the County Redevelopment Commission. It has engaged HWC Engineering. They're letting a project, I think it's supposed to be let in first quarter 21 for a paving project on 421 just south of the Hoosier Heartland, basically from Hoosier Heartland to County Road 100 North. And the Redevelopment Commission is using HWC to design expanding 421, including some turn lanes. And NDOT has agreed that if the county does the right-of-way and widening, that they'll pave it as part of their project. So it's like a local NDOT co-project.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. We're glad to hear, you know, about that sort of partnership. That sounds like that could be really good. Really kind of help smooth things out in that area.
Yes, that's the plan.
You know anything about that, Marcia, or should we talk to Jackie?
That would be a state project, so that would be Jackie.
Okay.
All right, thank you for the update, Laura.
Yeah, no problem.
Do we have anything further on the agenda?
Again, it's not these projects. This is Pete. I wound up with a packet of information in my hands as a trustee of the Baptist Church in Camden. It pertains to it's from NDOT Historical Office in Indianapolis. And I think, Tim, you've got a letter involved, but it has to do with the plan to repave State Road 218 through Camden, and they're also going to be doing sidewalks and curbs and so forth. And they're soliciting, they've identified historical buildings along the way, and they were asking any input from the church as to whether they had any problems. And the church doesn't have any problem, obviously, with them doing this. I guess my question came up is, does anybody know the timing on this It's a project, DES 18-00063. And it's basically for it's State Road 218 through the town of Camden. Does anyone know when that?
Hang on.
Does anyone know?
I'm seeing if I can pull it up in the system. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete, what I can tell you from our end is that we did receive a request for an early coordination letter, which is kind of what you're talking about, which is part of the process of how we identify historical structures and that sort of thing. And we did respond to that request. So we sent everything that we had to the consultant on that one.
Well, they're just seeking input from us as to whether we had any issues or objections to it. Nobody does. They've contacted Indian tribes, and I don't know who else does. But anyway, it's the only question that came back from people in the church was like, when are they talking about doing this? So, and I don't read that in the letter.
No, and at this time in our system, and this is just where it's at right now. I don't know if this will, if it'll stay there or not, but right now it is in January of 23.
January 23. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. That's all I got.
Good.
All right. Do we have anything further from the floor?
We do have one more agenda item kind of hiding there, 4C, about the FY 2021 grant.
All right. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see because it was lumped in with the letting list, but yeah. So last time we met, this had not yet been finalized. We had submitted it to NDOT for their review, but we have gotten this approved, and it's very similar to what we've done in past years. So I would say that the major difference is coming in item 511C3 here, where one thing that we're doing there is a crash report. We do those every 3 years. And so this is the third year since we've done one. So we're due to do that again. And that's not something that's, unprecedented. We've done them before, but it's just not something that shows up every year. So I just wanted to point out to the committee that that is something that's in our plans for this fiscal year. So we will be working on that, as well as what Sally mentioned earlier about the issue with moving the traffic count funding back. So maybe I'll hand it off to her and she can add anything she wants to about that.
So this grant has been approved and it's in our contract for fiscal year 2021. On this page, under the financial summary, I pointed out to Paul Coates the local column and the $7,735.23. That would be Carroll County's share for fiscal year 21. So he was going to provide a copy of this to the county, Beth, the county auditor. This contract hopefully will then be amended to add in the amount of money that we didn't spend on traffic counts this last spring and added into this contract so that we can do those in the fall. And those would be the, excuse me, those would be the CAFO counts that would still allow us to do the 65 counts that are shown here in one of the earlier sections. I think it's probably 511C.1, which is where we have the traffic counts. So I think we're all good to go, and hopefully we'll get that contract amendment as soon as we've done our final billing for 2020.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any questions regarding the grant agreement for 2021 or fiscal year 21?
No.
Yeah. I did have one quick thing I did just want to mention that's tangentially related to this. So at our last meeting, we had talked about when we might want to do these traffic counts that we moved back. So we're kind of looking at late September into October, and we estimate it'll take us probably about 4 or 5 weeks to get these counts done. That's kind of based on how quickly historically we do. We have 46 counts left to take in the fall, and it kind of tends to happen that we always have to reset a few at the end due to various and sundry issues. So I think it'll probably take us about 4 or 5 weeks to get all those done. So we're going to try to hit that late September and October window to capture the harvest traffic.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tim. Any questions from the floor regarding the proposal for the next fiscal year?
No, I have no questions.
All right, with that, I think we've got through the agenda. Pete, do you have anything additionally you'd like to add?
No, I have nothing additional.
All right, thank you. Marcy?
No, I'm good.
Laura?
I'm good. We're gonna miss you, Shane, as our chairman.
Yep, this is my last unofficial meeting as chairman since we don't have a quorum. So, Pete, whether you know it or not, you may be voluntold to accept the chair here at the next meeting.
Well, I wish you well, Shane.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Tiffany County,
APC staff, thank you for your service too.
all right,
Yeah.
it's a pleasure working with you guys.
You
If
guys
there's
don't have to
nothing
be
further,
so nice to him. You can tell him that you're heartbroken and that Nick Cleveland does not deserve him.
all right. Well, I appreciate the kind words, and if there's nothing further, I will call this unofficial meeting adjourned.
Comments?
Thank you all.
Sally, comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. China's going to check to see if we have any comments that came in on Facebook Live or YouTube. So if we could wait just a second while she checks.
For sure.
That's the way we have citizen comments when we have virtual meetings.
That's smart.
No comments.
All right. Well, I will consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good to have you, Laura.
Thanks. Hi, Sally.
Hi.